Good morning. So these are hallowed halls for me. I graduated from Fort Mill High School in 1974, and this was our gymnasium. It was the only high school in town. So too short for basketball. I still played my 9th and 10th grade year, but I cheered the other time because I found talking was much easier for me. So the gym is a wonderful, I hate to call it a relic, but it's a wonderful piece of the history of Fort Mill that I'm so happy we are turning into a community center for events just like this. Sorry that it rained today. I didn't have any control over that, but I am so pleased to see each and every one of you at this celebration of service that we should never, ever forget. So thank you. Today is also known, well, I think the right thing to do is to go ahead and recognize our special guests first. I am Gwen Savage, the mayor of Fort Mill. I would like to introduce Alan Garrison, if you'd stand, Ronnie Helms, Chris Wolf, and Chris Moody. Each of these serve you on our town council here. We have Representative Ray Felder and South Carolina Senator Michael Johnson with us today. We're very honored for your presence. And the Mrs. South Carolina Strawberry Festival Queen Brandy Jansen. So thanks to each of you for joining us, and I would be very remiss not to say thank you to the American Legion in Fort Mill. These fine gentlemen not only served our country, but they continue their service here in Fort Mill daily, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So with that, I would like to welcome Alan Garrison, our town council member, to do our invocation.
Let us pray. God of compassion, God of dignity, and God of strength, please watch over the veterans of Fort Mill and of the United States in recognition of their loyal service to our nation. Bless them with wholeness and love. Shelter them, heal their wounds, comfort their hearts, and grant them peace. God of justice and truth, rock of our lives, bless our veterans, these men and women of courage and valor with a deep and abiding understanding of our profound gratitude. Protect them and their families from loneliness and want. Grant them lives of joy and bounty. May their dedication and honor be remembered as a blessing from generation to generation. Blessed are you, protector and redeemer, our shield and our stronghold. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Garrison. Now we will have the presentation of colors for the Nation Ford High School MCJROTC, and I'm glad I looked and added those letters, so thank you. Our national anthem today will be sung by Eloise Kaiser, the Star Spangled Banner, 6th grade student from Fort Mill Middle School. Eloise?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh,
Councilman Ronnie Helms will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Eloise, that was beautiful. When I see our JROTC and hear our youth sing and participate in these types of events, it gives me hope for our future. It truly does. Thank you all. That was gorgeous. Also known as Armistice Day, the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month is the universal time for recognition to celebrate ending of World War I. Annually, we gather in our community to recognize and honor all that have dedicated their lives, many of them losing their lives, to protect our freedom. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Freedom makes a huge requirement of every human being. With freedom comes responsibility." We shun responsibility in many areas these days, don't we? John F. Kennedy said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Collectively, I found that these two quotes were saying that we are to live being grateful for those that gave us freedom. Express gratitude, show thankfulness. Never before have we as a people been more exposed to and aware of the condition of the world. We can actually see wars as they occur. We can see hate. We can see greed. We can experience pain and death through all the mediums that now bring that into our day-to-day lives. Just as our soldiers have experienced the worst of these in their service. Even in the best of their service, they leave their homes, their families, their comforts. They work, they train in our country and often in foreign countries. And since I was a teenager, all have volunteered to do so. How do we find the gratitude we need to carry forward? Look around you. Actually see the person next to you. See these people among us that gave their service. Think of our freedom. We have the freedom to speak, to drive, to pray, to work. Each person has something to give. Let us today decide to give respect, honor those that gave to us, that give to us. Let us give love. G.K. Chesterton said, "The true soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him." Let us honor our military that gave and provide our freedom and our gratitude and love what is here. Let us love one another. With that, we have recognized our special guests today. We have the representation of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs 2022 theme and poster, and 2022 Miss South Carolina Strawberry Festival Queen, Brandy Jansen. Brandy?
Each year, the Veterans Day National Committee publishes a commemorative Veterans Day poster. The committee selects the poster from artwork submitted by artists nationwide. Brianna Cummings, who works for the VA Medical Center in Erie, Pennsylvania, submitted this year's winning poster. Through the years, these posters have illustrated the rich history of our country's servicemen and women. The posters reflect our pride and patriotism in saluting our veterans. The theme for Veterans Day 2022 is honor. Veterans are proud of their military service in defending our nation, and honor reflects the military value and tradition of answering that call to duty. There is distinct honor in serving to protect our way of life and the Constitution of the United States. The winning poster that she created is a compilation of 3 different photographs taken of the Erie Veterans Memorial Park. The bottom photograph comes from the Vietnam Memorial Wall. The middle photograph, Duty, Honor, and Country, is engraved on the granite benches nearby. And the flag in the sun is the top photo. The poster is a reflection of service members supporting duty, honor, and country. Today, we honor our veterans for fulfilling their patriotic duties. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. It's a beautiful, beautiful representation this year. Thank you so much. We appreciate your service. Today, I am honored to introduce our special guest, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Messenger. Coming to us today from Fort Jackson, Lieutenant Colonel Messenger has a deep and impressive military background. Lieutenant Colonel Messenger enlisted in the U.S. Army in January of 1998, completing basic training in Oklahoma and advanced individual training in Arizona. He moved to Basic Airborne School en route to his first assignment at the 313 Military Intelligence Battalion, 82nd Airborne Division, where he was an imagery ground station operator, team leader, and squad leader. He has served in Korea, Iraq, Jordan, Syria. Lieutenant Colonel Messenger graduated from West Virginia University with a bachelor's in political science and a master's in interagency studies from the University of Kansas. A few of his military schools and his awards and decorations follow. The Common Ground Station Operator Course, Basic Airborne School, Infantry Officers Basic Course, Ranger School, the Maneuver Captain's Career Course, Special Forces Qualification Course, Senior Mountaineer Course, Survival Evasion, Resistance and Escape School, Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat Course, Achilles Dagger Course, Special Welfare Operational Design Course, and Special Technical Operations Course. He has been awarded a multitude of times for his service. He has the Bronze Star Medal with 1 OLC, a Purple Heart, Meritorious Service Medal with 1 OLC, the Army Commendation Medal with 1 OLC, the Army Achievement Medal, the Meritorious Unit Citation, the National Defense Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, the Overseas Service Ribbon, the Combat Infantry's Badge, the Special Forces tab, the list goes on. This gentleman has given the very best of his service for our country. Lieutenant Colonel Messenger and his wife Amy have 4 sons, Connor, Liam, Colin, and Keegan. We would like to give him the warmest of welcomes today as he brings us our Veterans Day message.
Well, thank you. That sounds really a lot cooler than it really was. I am humbled, frankly, to be here. I want to thank you all for inviting me into your community to speak to the esteemed group of veterans and citizens. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Messenger. I am currently stationed at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I have the great honor of serving as the 1st Battalion, 13th Infantry Regiment's Battalion Commander. Our mission in the 1st Battalion, 13th Infantry Regiment is basic combat training. It's where we turn civilians who volunteered into U.S. Army soldiers in about 10 weeks. Today, though, I'd like to take some time to celebrate and recognize our veterans' service to our nation and just share a little bit of my Army story with you. So I started my journey, as the mayor laid out, just like the trainees did in my battalion. On the 21st of January 1998, I enlisted as a private in the U.S. Army and stepped off the bus at Fort Sill, Oklahoma to begin my journey of service to our nation, just like many of you. Much to my father and my grandparents' dismay, right? See, they all served, but my father and my grandpa on my mom's side retired from the Air Force, one in 1971 and then my dad in 1988, respectively. My other grandpa enlisted in the Navy in 1941 at the age of 17, and it was while he was in the Navy he met my grandma, who was serving the Coast Guard at the time. So as you might imagine, they questioned my life choices when I selected to join the Army. I graduated basic training, advanced individual training, airborne school, before I finally arrived to my first unit in the 82nd Airborne Division around October of 1998. I was serving there as a sergeant during September 11th, 2001. I remember exactly when and where I was when I heard about the attacks. I was on my way back from the gas chamber when a truck pulled up next to my Humvee that was carrying my team, and the guy yelled at us that the World Trade Center had been attacked. Once we got back to the company area, we watched the second plane hit, and then the one at the Pentagon as well. My unit spent the rest of the day laying out our gear and preparing for war. That was an ominous sign of what was to come during my time in the Army. In 2002, I applied and was selected to become an officer. Like most veterans sitting here with us today, I expected to be deployed and spend time away from home. After I was through infantry officer basic and ranger school, I didn't have to wait long. 8 months after arriving in my first unit as an officer, I deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom for a 15-month deployment in support of the surge fighting in Baghdad and Bakuba. I left my wife of just under a year with our 9-month-old son when I departed in April of 2007. As all veteran spouses here can attest, she served on the home front just as I served on the battlefield in Iraq. She took care of our son, took care of our family, the issues with the house or the cars, the bills, those that came home wounded, and the spouses that lost their loved ones, 3 of which were in my platoon and 5 in my company over the course of that deployment. She, along with our community, took care of me in October of 2007 when I was wounded and evacuated back to Fort Lewis. When I healed up, she sent me back to war in January of 2008. I returned to join my unit, and then she welcomed us home later that year, just as all spouses and military families have done since the beginning of our nation. I've been blessed over the course of my career to have commanded an infantry company, a Special Forces A-team, and 2 Special Forces companies. My last assignment was in Special Operations Command Central, serving as a great power competition planner, and over the course of my career, I've spent about 36 months in combat around the world with various units. I say that all to say that I've had the honor of working with the best people all over the world serving our great nation, and I have loved every single minute of it. It is only as of late that I've really started to appreciate Veterans Day and the true sacrifices of those that answer the call to serve. When I was a kid, Veterans Day was just another day off. As I got older, I started to understand that my parents had served, my grandparents had served, and then I decided to join. Now I've started to see folks that I began my career with have started to go back into civilian life, and they have rightly earned the title of veteran through their service to our nation. Veterans Day is important to me personally and to our nation. I wanted to know its origins. I assumed this would go back to the start of our nation, but it does not. As I did some research, I found it started out about 1921, when an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Similar ceremonies occurred in England and France, where an unknown soldier was buried in each of the nation's highest place of honor. These memorial gestures all took place on November 11th, giving universal recognition to the celebrated ending of World War I at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. This day became known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day officially received its name in America around 1926 through a congressional resolution, and it became a national holiday about 12 years later. And had the idealistic hope that World War I was the war to end all wars been true, November 11th might still be called Armistice Day. But as you all know, only a few short later after the holiday was proclaimed, war broke out in Europe and World War II began. Our nation was attacked on the 7th of December 1941 at Pearl Harbor. And that is a day that will live in infamy. And that generation answered the call to duty. They, like all veterans, stood up, signed up, and fought to defend our way of life, in this instance against fascism. After the defeat of the Axis powers, America stood fast as the USSR built the Berlin Wall, exported communism and conflict across the world. Our veterans rebuilt Europe and stood firm against the Iron Curtain, preparing for an invasion through the Fulda Gap. Although that full-scale war never came, our nation would continue to fight conflicts, defending our principles of freedom throughout the 20th century. During the Cold War, our service members fought in places like Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, and across the Middle East. Our veterans of today did their patriotic duty defending freedom against communism and dictatorship. After our nation was attacked on September 11, 2001, when asked, "Who shall go?" a new generation answered the call and said, "Send me." Our veterans of today went after those who would do us harm in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, amongst others. Today, our servicemen and women continue to man the frontier of freedom across the world. In Europe, we are deterring Russian aggression, all the way to the Pacific, where a rising China seeks to overturn the rules-based order to one that favors its desires. Our veterans today stand firm, just like those that came before. Of those that live in this free nation, only 1% have the honor of serving and earning the right to be called veterans. We all raised our right hand and took a solemn oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. You should be proud of your service. On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for answering the call and serving our nation with honor. Today is the 11th day of the 11th month, and we will celebrate Veterans Day. Those that serve or served will stand at attention on this day. Those that live on this day and see old age will celebrate and remember with their neighbors. On this day, we will strip our sleeves and show our scars, both seen and unseen, and proudly share the stories of what we did in the service to our nation. As we grow old, we will forget some things, yet all shall not be forgotten. We will remember as we celebrate those we lost and those we served with. We will teach our children what it means to answer the call of our nation and protect our way of life. Not a Veterans Day shall go by from the establishment of this day until the ending of the world where we do not celebrate our veterans. We will remember. Being a veteran creates a special bond with those that serve. It has been famously called a band of brothers. I use the term family. For those that have shed their blood, sweat, and tears on behalf of our nation are my family, as they uniquely know the true meaning of what it takes to answer the call, to do your patriotic duty, to serve with honor. I will continue to tell our stories as long as I draw breath. I want to personally thank all of our veterans and their families here today. Whether in a time of peace or war, on the home front or the battlefield, we all serve together. And we all have the distinct honor of having served our nation when it needed us most. I look forward to joining the Veterans Association ranks as I remove from active duty, whenever that may be. I want to thank you all for all that you have done and all that you continue to do for our nation. And thank you for having me here today.
I believe that Lieutenant Colonel Messenger is a bit humbled by our appreciation, but Lieutenant Colonel, I hope you feel it every day, every single day. Thank you so much. Beautiful sentiments. We will now hear from Lois Majors, a violinist, homeschooled high school junior, granddaughter of a veteran, special music, America the Beautiful. Amazing, just totally beautiful. Thank you so much, Lois. That was just unbelievable. Each year, the American Legion continues their legacy of service to our community. This year, after the event starting at noon, the veterans in our community are welcomed to have lunch at the American Legion. They're going to have ham, potato salad, rolls, green beans, banana pudding. These guys just don't know how to quit giving. So join them. If you're a non-veteran, you can join them for $7. So we certainly are always in debt to their with gratitude. We have 10 minutes until the 11:11 time frame, so I'm going to fill a little bit of that time with in honor of Veterans Day. The town has been collecting donations for the USO of North Carolina. You can drop off donations through 5 p.m. today at Fort Mill Town Hall. We do have a list of donations, everything from grocery store gift cards, juice boxes, bottled water, candy gum. There's a ton of items here that if you'd like to know, we'll be happy to share with you, or you can get this information on the town website. So we felt that as a town, we want to give back and to serve just as those have served us. So I'd like to thank you for that. That was good. Benny, what would you like? Would you like to introduce each of these folks before the 11:11 recognition? Would you like to introduce each of these folks? Thank you.
On the first seat right here, we have Past Commander John Passanisi, Mike Craven, Past Commander, Robbie Munn, Past Chaplain, Mike McWhorter, Dan Rollins, Denny McCluskey, Pat, forgot your last name, Pat. I was getting old when you forget women's last names, right? John Vaughn, Johnny Helms, and I'm Benny Patterson, in this honor, the part of this honor guard. Thank you, Mayor.
The American Legion supports many town events and continues to give of their lives for us. So with that, Benny, what would you like? Do you have anything you want to do before the 11:11? Typically at 11:11, we would have a volley of rifles to fire, but as you can see, we might see a rain of paint chips if we did here. But we will let Benny guide us in that.
Since we're not going to do the volley and taps, remember what 11:11 is, and close to that we can, Mayor, you'd like to adjourn. Everyone knows what 11:11 is. I've got about 5 after.
I got about 5 after as well.
Like the Mayor said, we invite you up to the Legion Post for our luncheon starting at 12 o'clock. So please stop by and have a lunch with us and see what the Legion Post is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. For those of you that live in this town, we have always seen people giving out poppies. We have always seen our American Legion. They've done everything from helping with food at football games to helping the needy in town. These are folks that have given of their lives continuously. They have fought for us. They have served us. The military is not something that we just should remember on holidays, but rather on every day. Because every day you and I live in a world and a country and a community that's free. And that freedom didn't come without a cost. So thank a vet today. Thank them all. Thank them with your heart, your gratitude, your honor, and your respect. I would like to thank town staff today for the tremendous job they've done to quickly move this to an indoor event. We really like doing it outdoors because we have a lot more flexibility, but Mother Nature had other plans. I'd like to thank all the supporting folks, for Tony for all the camera work, and you'll be able to see this on our website, our police department, our fire department, our parks and rec department. There are never enough thank yous for those folks for what they do for us daily. Again, thank you to Lieutenant Colonel Messenger, to my town council members that are here, to Ray, to Michael, to everyone that dedicates a portion of their lives to serve us. So thank you all for coming today, and I hope you have a blessed day.